I'm competitive, you know.
Right.
You probably have gotten that already.
Just a tad.
Just a little bit. I go into a zone, you know.
Yeah, you do.
And,
you do. I do too.
And whether there's anybody around or not, I'm competing with what I think that I should be able to accomplish. Side note, I'm a fishing snob now, though, so that's kind of a negative. The people are like, let's go fly fishing in Colorado. Like, a good catch for the day is the same size as me.
That's right.
I've always had, like, a mental toughness, and I think that that's something that, I've talked about this before, like, you know, like, that's something that I wish I could teach my son. I don't know how you teach that. That's what I try and tell people. I'm like, it's different. Like, Spartan race and things like that, you can literally just black out and go. Like, you can just turn your mind off and just go.
Yeah.
You can't do that when you're shooting in between.
No. I heard that are you now a DPD?
So I work for the Colorado Bureau of Investigation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were in New York before you came here?
Mm-hmm. I worked for the NYPD.
NY there. Huh?
Yeah.
What was it like doing that?
Working for the NYPD?
Yeah.
So that was like my first big girl job, right? So, and
That's hilarious.
It's funny, actually. So I have a degree in forensic chemistry. And so I moved out to New York City to go to grad school. Then it was so expensive, and I was waitressing all the time. I was making a boatload of money waitressing. Though.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. Just, you know,
Easy,
running
good
around.
money, man.
Oh, yeah. And they only hired me because there are very few blondes in New York City, and they're like, we need to meet our blonde quota on the staff. So
you gotta be kidding me.
No, I'm not even kidding. I was like, don't you want to, like, see if I'm any good or not? Nope, you're in. I was like, okay.
That's hilarious.
They're like, put on this little dress. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, we got all these Irish girls and all these,
yeah.
all these brunettes out here, man. We need to mix it up.
Oh, man.
That's hilarious.
I know.
You couldn't say that shit anymore, can you?
No.
I don't think so, right? I mean, that's like.
No, I don't,
stuff
and I don't
there.
even think they could then. I mean,
Yeah,
this was
you're
only
probably
like
right.
2008. It wasn't like this was
the
way
80s.
in the
See,
past.
Yeah, I'm dating myself. It's not like it was the 80s, right?
Way back in 2008 when you were allowed to say really things like that. But anyway, so when I got the call from the NYPD for my first job, I had to take a pay cut from my waitressing job, and I was like, oh, follow my dream or the money's okay, dream. So so I worked for them for 4 years, and I did drug chemistry analysis, and then I did fingerprint analysis, all in the lab.
Wow.
And then I wanted to get out of New York. I couldn't do it anymore. I'm from Alaska originally.
Okay.
And then I went to school in Oregon. I played softball at Western Oregon University, and then just on a whim decided to move to New York for grad school. So I needed to get out of the city, and Colorado was like a good halfway point back towards Alaska and had everything I wanted. So
there you go.
Out I came.
Wow. That's kind of
And
cool.
then out here, I became a sworn agent with the Colorado Bureau of Investigation. And
A what agent?
A sworn agent.
Oh, sworn. Okay.
And then I started doing crime scenes out here too. So I do both in the lab and out in the field too.
Cool.
So yeah.
You get to do all that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That's like. I mean, I think were you inspired by the TV shows? What were they? The CSI?
Yeah, so CSI came out. I mean, my numbers are probably off, but I think I was in high school, maybe middle school when those first started. They went on for like 14 years or something.
I think they're still going
I don't
at
even
20
know.
strong or something.
I don't know. It's ridiculous. It's like that and The Simpsons. I don't know. Whatever's longer. Simpsons have been going forever.
It's got to be The Simpsons.
The Simpsons.
Think, right?
Oh, it's got to be. But anyway, so I digress. So, yeah, I obviously watch those shows like everybody else, but I took a forensics course in high school. It was the very first time my high school ever offered it, and we took it, and I just thought it was awesome because I was always really good at science and math, but the thought of being like a chemist or working in a lab was so boring. I was like, I can't do that. I need to be around people.
Out and about.
Yeah, and out and about. So, so it seemed like a perfect mix for me. And I always like wanted to make a difference, like wanted to do good in my community. I think it comes from being the good girl in a family of lawbreakers. So.
Well, you're sitting across from a lawbreaker. I was quite a hoodlum when I was younger, man.
Were you?
I mean, all the way up till I was 30.
Yeah.
So, it was, yeah. I think that, isn't that crazy how when you look at a large family or families, there's always this. You can always pick out, like, okay, so one's going to be a drug addict, or one's going to end up in prison, or one's going to end up dead, or one's going to be like the do-gooder, or one's going to be successful, or, right? It's so weird, isn't it?
Like, don't you wonder, like, like, every once in a while you see those families where, like, all three of the kids are just, like, rock star successful in their chosen lives,
Right.
and you're just like, how did they do it? What's their secret? There's got to be something.
Something in the water.
But no.
It's mom's home cooking or something.
It's crazy, though, because, like, my brother and I, we grew up, exactly the same, in the same house, everything, and took two totally different paths.
Different roads, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad and my uncles and stuff. I mean, one was like original founders of like the High Plains Drifters, and then one went in the Marines, and one, sold cars and ended up selling, yachts, and was part of TCBY Yogurt's beginning, and and then you had my aunt, who was just Miss Mary Homemaker, right? And I mean, the plethora of stuff that came out of this house was rather intriguing.
Yeah.
It's just so diverse.
And it's crazy, too, like, even though, like, my brother had a rocky start with the, law and jail time and all that, and now he's super successful, like, in the oil industry, where you can be a roughneck, and it's actually encouraged. Like, that's how you succeed, almost. You have to be that tough. And so it's just really cool to see, even though we chose different paths, like, there's still that, like, drive to be successful that is inherent in both of us, and I think that's really cool.
It is cool. Well, let me back up.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to Wilderness Attitude Podcast. We just jumped right in there. We're sitting here at No Limits Archery. A beautiful morning. We got here early. They're setting up all around us, getting ready to go live on Facebook this morning, and getting ready to have the finals for the Alpha Bowhunting Challenge, which, unfortunately for myself, I'm one and done. And then I went out and did another round with my son, and I beat my time by like a minute 40. It still wouldn't have been enough to beat James, but I felt better about that.
You had a rough first run.
I did
James.
not.
It's not that you didn't do well.
Yeah.
Just James
He
is
killed
tough.
it. He killed it.
He kills it every time.
He has the
every
fastest time in men's masters right now, and how I got seated against him right out of the gate is a total bummer. But
I think he
meant to
sandbagged the 3D course. Let's just call James out on sandbagging the 3D course.
I think you're right, and that's James Hardesty. Just in case you want to know, retired spear fisherman. He's on another podcast we did last night. He's something. But I just want to thank my sponsors. Thanks, Initial Ascent. These guys are great. Dennis and Joe, super proud American backcountry hunters that just live and work and play in the wilderness of Idaho. And a big shout out to Initial Ascent. Those guys have just been awesome to get to know and be a part of their family. And we'll be heading up and hanging out with them in the end of June, which will be super fun. And, of course, Wilderness Athlete, regardless of what you're into, even if you're a working man, hydrate and recover, energy and focus. And they even had that there for dogs, Canine Athlete. That stuff's the coolest stuff. And then I give my dog's new dog. And I got this old buddy dog, man. He's like 14 something, I don't know. My wife, she was here, she could correct me, but he is like a totally new dog. I mean,
That's
they totally named that the right way. It's pretty cool. Anyway, I've got Shanley sitting here with me, and I've been hoping to sit down with Shanley for a long time. I got to meet her at Train to Hunt last year in Colorado, and then got to watch her do nationals as well. And it was, and I heard, you just hear about people, because you're like, whoa, what the hell? Like, she's like this total beast. And so you just kind of get intrigued about their story. And when I got a little bits of pieces of it, and even what I got was inaccurate, I still thought what I heard was pretty cool. So we were just talking about her being with CBI, and I thought she was with DPD here in Denver, Denver Police Department. But it was actually she was with the New York Police Department, and then came out here and is working with CBI, which you already heard. So, Shanley, I know one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was more of your childhood and growing up. You kind of touched on that a little bit. I think that hearing about how people's childhood shaped them a little bit paints the picture for who they are today. It brings us full circle, because everybody knows you in the here and now.
Right.
And not everybody knows a lot of that. So take us back to Alaska as a little girl, and just kind of what you remember from that, you know?
So we didn't have a lot of money. Like we grew up I was raised in a trailer park until I was like 10. But I didn't realize how fortunate I was until I'm an adult now, that we got to play outside. We got a lot of freedom. Like, I remember like laying in mud puddles and letting my hair float in it and thinking like, I don't even know if I'd let my son do that now. But like, I was a tomboy. Like I wanted to hang out with the little boys all the time. I never played with dolls. I always just wanted to be outside and around people, and we had a really great little community. You know, none of us had a lot of money, but we had a lot of families that would do anything for each other. And I think that just really instilled in me a sense of family and wanting to build that community for myself as an adult. And that's one thing that's really cool about the archery community, is that we have that. So yeah, I think that was really awesome. I got to grow up hunting with my family.
Yeah. Dad was the guy that took you, or
no? So Granny and Papa.
Granny and Papa.
Yeah. So
cool.
my mom's side of the family, they're, we're always hunters. My dad's side of the family are deep sea fishers. So we have a boat in the south of Alaska in Valdez, and so I always grew up fishing with my dad, which. Side note, I'm a fishing snob now, though, so that's kind of a negative. So people are like, let's go fly fishing in Colorado. I'm like, oh, I caught this monster. And then they're like, and I'm like, that is not, no, that's not a monster. I'm sorry. 12 inches is not a monster. I don't know what kind of measuring stick you guys use. But, yeah, if it's under 30 pounds, we throw it back. You know, because we grew up catching halibut, and a good catch for the day is the same size as me.
That's right.
so kind of made me a fishing snob. But yeah, so my dad's whole side of the family, we grew up fishing. My mom's side of the family, they were the hunters. And so it was just totally normal for me to grow up with big game animals hanging in the garage, you know, skinning and quartering animals in the garage. And that's just, we hunted on four-wheelers, though. There wasn't this backpack hunting going on. No.
Backcountry gig.
Yeah, that wasn't a thing. The path of least resistance, because that's what we used to eat all winter.
Right.
So, we always had four-wheelers we'd take back. But always rifle. No one in my family were bow hunters. Huh. So I grew up rifle hunting.
What turned you to that? What turned you to archery?
Archery?
Yeah.
That was Rob, my ex-husband. He taught me how to shoot a bow. He was an archer. He shot, in New York with his dad, and archery hunted with his dad his whole life. And so I was really thankful for that. I think it was something he knew that I would take to it quickly, and that it'd be good. It'd be good for me, and he was right, because it's awesome.
Yeah, archery's good for me. It's helped change my life. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so fun. Like, it's so fun to add an additional skill to it, and it's something, because it's really expensive. Well, I mean, archery is not cheap. Let's be real. Like, when you get into it, let's be honest. Yeah. But I mean, you can't go out and shoot all the time, because the ammunition is outrageous.
Yeah, I see, and that's the thing is like archery, I think, has a little bit more initial cost, but I don't know. I mean, you can dump tons of change on a rifle too. It doesn't matter. But the idea of your repetitive practice, is much cheaper with arrows than it is with brass flying down. Yeah. Down
exactly.
Range, right?
And there's more areas where you can shoot archery, and shooting long distance rifle. Like in Alaska, we would just go to somebody's backyard because we had plenty of land to do things
just
like
shoot
that.
Into the trees.
Exactly. And, my grandparents live out in the middle of nowhere. They live in Delta Junction, Alaska. So it's an hour and a half from the largest city. They don't even have a stoplight.
From Anchorage, right?
No, from Fairbanks.
From Fairbanks.
So I'm from Fairbanks, Alaska, which is in the center of the state.
Yeah.
And Delta is just south of that.
Gotcha.
About an hour and a half.
I don't know Alaska very well, but I'm hoping to start.
Yeah, are you trying to get up there?
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. Mid-August. A little caribou, maybe.
You're going to go this year?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really stoked. Let's see if it all comes together. I mean, I've got the plan. It's all kind of there. Work's kind of muddling that a little bit, but that's okay.
Don't you hate when life gets in the way of your hunts? That's the worst.
That's
what happened
it's
to me
okay.
last year, too.
I can't say it's the worst. it's like, it's just one of those things. It's just a bummer.
Yeah.
That's all. It's just a bummer, but life goes on, and you'll get another opportunity, and you just got to make the best of it and go for it.
I know. I am always jealous of my sister, though, because my sister still lives in Alaska, and her husband, she probably takes 6-8 animals a year.
Yeah.
It's just insane when you think about it. Because they do subsistence hunting,
Mm-hmm.
And so it costs them $50 for their their tags.
I know, and I hear that. I'm like, you spend $100 and what? You get 6 animals for $100?
It's crazy.
I mean, that's super cool. Mm-hmm. It makes you want to go.
Yeah,
but
it's not that way for outsiders as well.
Right, for outsiders. I've heard that before from Austin Manilik. That guy, he says, you're an outsider, bro. Yeah. You're not welcome here. Go away. But if you want to come up anytime. I'll put you up. I'll take you.
Right, yeah. We're very welcoming, but you don't belong here.
But
so.
yeah, they pretty much tell you don't belong there, and you're not one of them until you are there year round and you're willing to do the dark gray winter and the hardship part. If you can earn that and make it through it, then you get to the other side of that. Then we'll start thinking about accepting you as one of our own. But until you do that, that's kind of where they draw the line, I think.
Yep,
that's what I hear. We'll see how it goes, but. So how'd you get from Alaska to New York? How did that transition happen?
So I got a scholarship to play softball. I played softball my whole life and volleyball. Traveled down to the States, and that's how I fell in love with Colorado originally too, is on my traveling softball team. So the state of Alaska, because we don't have that many people, the entire state has one traveling softball team for each age division.
That whole state only makes one?
Yep, they combine everybody. I think they added a second one now, but when I was in high school, we had one traveling team, so you had to try out against everyone in the entire state to be on it.
Wow.
But we were very successful when we would come down here because we pooled from so many, obviously. Yeah. But yeah, so that's how I got to travel down to Colorado and Oregon, both. And I love both states, so I applied for schools in both states and ended up getting a scholarship in Oregon.
What position did you play?
I was an outfielder. So I'm a lefty.
Okay.
I shoot my bow lefty as well. Yeah. I was a slapper, and I played center field and left field.
What is a slapper?
So slapper is do you know how Ichiro kind of starts running to first base before he even makes contact with the ball and kind of slaps at it? Do you know what I mean?
What now?
So
what?
All right.
You totally lost.
All right. So a lefty batter stands on the left side, or stands on the box, the side of the box closer to first base. So if you're fast and then you start your run before the ball even makes it there, and then you just kind of slap at it, your goal is to either slap it past shortstop, third base, or right over their heads, dunk it in.
Away from you, away from the play.
Just away from the play, because if the idea is that you're so fast that if they have to take 2 or 3 steps to get to the ball, you're going to be there already.
I see.
So if you're really fast and you're left-handed, they make you slap. So I mean, I hit as well, but usually I would be a leadoff batter because the goal is just to get you on base, so then the big girls could come behind you. Because I don't know if any of you guys have seen me that are watching this podcast. I'm not very big.
Yeah. You're a skyscraper in 5 foot.
Yeah. So their goal was to just get me on base, so then the big girls could come in. Because I played with girls that were 6'2", just 200 pounds, just big girls.
Hit the ball hard.
Just nail the ball. Yeah.
I'm always intrigued by the pitchers. I was even watching some of that last night on TV on college ESPN. I mean, those girls, man, how they kind of hip that ball.
Oh yeah. So the thing is too.
It's crazy.
So in baseball, you have 90 feet from the pitcher's mound to the plate. You only have 40 feet in college softball. So you're cutting that distance in half, and then instead of having a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, or 100 now that these guys are pulling off, you have a 65. So you're cutting the distance in half, but then the speed is still 65. It's significantly less, but not.
And the ball's bigger.
And the ball's bigger. But
it still isn't fair.
Right. And so but then you have these girls too, like our pitcher, she was 6'2". So by the time she strided out, she was on top of you. She was 30 feet away from you by the time she let go of the ball. She was enormous.
Yeah, so, just this big thing. You can't even see where you're hitting the ball.
Right. So it's and then for me, I'm running at her even closer,
Right.
So, it's an intense sport. I miss it sometimes.
How many years did you play it?
I started when I was 10, So I played for 12 years competitively.
And how'd you fit volleyball in that?
It was a alternate season, so I played volleyball in the fall. Softball would end in August, and tryouts for volleyball would be like the next week. And then I'd play volleyball until November, and then winter ball would start.
Were you libero?
I was a setter.
You were a setter?
Yeah.
Because I guess you could play that your size either way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was a setter.
Can you jump?
Mm-hmm.
So
could you hit? I was all-state my junior year. All-state.
Wow.
I mean, it's Alaska again, so take that for what it is.
Yeah. It's still an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm competitive,
Right.
You probably have gotten that already.
Just a tad.
Just a little bit. If anybody's listened to Aaron and Gritty talk about me, they're like, oh, she's competitive. That's the one thing we know about her.
You're almost borderline alien. When I saw you compete at Train to Hunt last year, it was something.
I go into a zone,
Yeah, you do.
And,
I do too.
And whether there's anybody around or not, I'm competing with what I think that I should be able to accomplish.
Yeah.
And I think that's what some people don't do, that it inhibits them from being more successful. Because a lot of people are like, oh, well, that person's doing that, so I got to do better than that. Well, I'm like, I've already set a goal that's way past what they're doing, and that's what I'm going for. If I fall a little short of it, I'll still be okay. But I set a goal for myself that I think that I can accomplish on my best day, and that's what I'm trying to do.
See, and I go out and I just hammer it, and I just did Tucson, and I haven't even told my listeners much of the story, but, I just did Tucson, and I redlined hard.
Yeah.
Way hard.
You have to know your body.
I'll tell you what, I just had this mindset that I was gonna run, which, I'll be honest, it's not really a run. It's a jog.
Yeah.
It's,
Was there a lot of incline?
Well, it was all through the washes in Tucson, so not a lot of incline. No, I would much rather pound incline in Colorado than kind of what I did there. I like having those. I love having that incline where it's just you know where B is, right? A to B, and you're going to that, and then for every vert you got up, you got it going down, right? So you can that suits me well. But the deal down there, you were running uphill for quite a ways. It was a 1.5 mile course, and I'd beg to differ that it's more than 1.5 miles after actually doing it, but. But you start off huge up, but gradual up, not a good up, gradual up, and then you come, and really for a mile you're actually working downhill, but you never really think you are because you're going into washes and out of washes, and into wash and out of the wash. And when I was asking some of those guys down there, like Darren, he's like, "Oh, you going in and out of the wash like 5 or 6 times?" I beg to differ. I'm pretty sure I counted like 9 or 10.
That's the worst, though, when you don't know where the end is, because you're like, okay, this is the end. And then you're like, that wasn't the end.
No, yeah.
Now I got to recalibrate what I got to push for the end.
You come up, and you're coming up to the gazebo, and then it's like, nope, hard right turn. You still got another 1/2 mile to go, right? And, I got to that last target, and I literally was I'd caught a guy in the heat in front of me. And
so then you were doing pretty well.
Oh, I was, I was in the top. There were 60 people there. I was in the top 10 in the time for the challenge course and mountain course.
Nice.
At 47.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm down. But I got to that shot, and I was blacking out. I could barely stand up, right? So when I drew back, I was like, okay, dropped my breath. And I'm standing there, and I literally blacked out down to my pins. And I saw my pin cross that 10, and I just punched the trigger, man, because I was just like, I got to get out.
Yeah.
Then when I got to the end, I was blacking out coming across the finish line. I was just going in and out. And I had a hard time recovering. And then I shot poorly because of my recovery. And so there's a balance there. But, I don't wear a watch. I don't wear a monitor. But I do all the time when I'm training because I just keep it on my phone and my chest monitor. I don't have a watch yet. And so I was like, I really need a watch, man, because if I could have stayed in that 175 range, even
if you don't have a watch, you'd have. Carry your phone with you, because if that's what you do,
I should have.
Whatever you're doing in training, you need to repeat that day of.
Yeah, I know, and I do a lot of that, and that is one element that I don't. I build my own train to hunt course. I do all that all winter long, and and I was really bummed out. But anyway.
Yeah, I think knowing where your line is really important too, because that's the other thing you do when you're competing against that other person. You know, when you're instead of setting your own goal for yourself, when you're saying, oh, they're doing that, so I got to do a little bit more, you will push yourself outside of your comfort zone, and then you get to that red line, and then you crash. And so I think it's really important to, in your own training, to be very cognizant of what your body's doing and feel that, right? Feel that feeling right before you hit the red line, you know, because you know when you know if you keep going at this pace, you're going to get to that red line very quickly.
Right.
You need to know that I need to back off a little bit so that I can ride that line, because that's the goal, is to stay right under that red line until the very end, and you want to be able to punch it at the end.
Yeah, not me. I was all spent. I got to work on that. There's no doubt about it. Like, I hit the physical part, and I'm like, I'm gonna crush this. Like, I just get in this zone, and it's like, and I got in the zone, but it wasn't a cognizant zone, like you're saying. Like, it was almost like when I got to that last half mile, it was kind of an out of body experience happening to me, because when I got to the finish line, I mean, even in the beginning, it was 93 degrees out, and my feet were on fire just through the challenge course. And then that last half of that mountain course, I couldn't even feel my legs. I mean, I was so hot.
Was it hot that day?
Yeah, it was 93.
Oh, gosh.
93 in the afternoon.
The Alaskan in me cringes anytime it gets that hot. I'm like, I can't function.
It was hard. It was mentally tough. But, you know, every train to hunt has its own element and its own gig, right?
Yeah.
You know, and you were saying this. Now let's rewind. So I met you in Colorado last year.
Yep.
You did the regional event, and
Yep, I took second place in the Colorado qualifier.
Second place in the qualifier.
I was having a lot of issues that weekend.
You didn't shoot well. You weren't real good on the shot deal that.
Yeah,
I
had a lot of trouble with my bow. So the bow that I was using last year was the very first bow I started with, and it's just, you know, as a Diamondback, it was a beginner bow, and I had it for way too long. You know, I had it for almost 3 years, and it was just time to get a new bow. Like, I just couldn't. I feel like every time I shot it, something was off, and then I'd have to have it retuned and whatever. And
that's just kind of the element with
the cheaper bows, and so I was just having a lot of trouble with my bow that weekend. So I got it all straightened out for nationals, thankfully.
I noticed that, and then I was following you a little bit, and you came back, and I saw you doing some video in here, and you came back and shot and regrouped here with everybody and got your shooting game back on, and then you came back to nationals and just crushed it.
Yeah, I think it was like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks in between.
It was 2 weeks.
2 weeks,
yeah.
I really focused those 2 weeks on just getting it right, and then I was like, don't touch it.
Right.
Nobody touched the bow.
I mean, because physically you crushed it. I mean, you were fastest on the course in the qualifier out of everybody, weren't you? Mm-hmm. And then were you at nationals too? Or
no, nationals. Two guys beat me.
Yeah.
2 guys beat me at nationals.
Man, I mean, just watching you run that challenge course and the times that you had, it was just like that. Everybody's like, how do you do it? Tell me how you train. Mm-hmm. Give us the blueprint. Because, I mean, I bet even men and women were asking you that, I bet, right? I mean, because you however you were training and whatever you're doing was top-notch and working.
Yeah, you know? I try to put in the work, you know, because I think that you can't say enough for putting in the work and feeling that pain, feeling that uncomfortable spot. I don't want to say pain because then people are like, I don't want to hurt. No, it's an uncomfortable. It's an uncomfortable, you know, position to put your body into, and you have to get comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
And there's no getting around that. You can't just walk in and do that. And I do that in a variety of different ways when I train. You know, I don't just do a super heavy pack all the time because I don't think that's good for your joints.
Yeah, at my age, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably only did the 50-pound deal, 8 or 10 times over the course of almost 6 months, really. I just don't. Yeah. You know, I do half the weight and go and push it hard.
Yep.
You know, but I did the 50-pound in my train to hunt workout, you know, course that I built I mean, I'll go hit the mountain at 50 pounds and just go hike up a hill
Yeah.
and do that kind of thing, just strengthen some of those balancers and some of that kind of stuff. But
yeah, those stabilizer muscles, you have to work on those, and that's something that I think a lot of people don't focus on, are those accessory type movements that you have to do, because you don't use them every day, and your joints are not used to holding that much weight. So yeah, it's something that you have to practice. But between that and then I think I've always had like a mental toughness, and I think that that's something that I've talked about this before. Like, I don't know how you teach that, like that's something that I wish I could teach my son, but I don't know how to teach that. But I think it comes from just growing up a little wild, like growing up in the wild a little bit, where my parents were just like, do it. Like, and my parents were always very supportive. Like, they instilled a confidence in my brother and I that some people are like, I don't know how you guys are like, even if you don't know what you're doing, like, you'll fake it until you figure it out. Like, you'll fake it till you make it. And there's a confidence that you have to have in order to do that. And I think there's just a confidence in putting the training in. And then when I get there, I know what I'm capable of, and I know it's going to be enough. And I think there's a confidence that you have to have in your training.
Yeah, I agree. And that's something that I think universally, you talk to anybody, anywhere, listen to it, read about it. I think that grit, or, that whatever you want to refer to it as, that mental toughness kind of thing, it's like, it is. You either have it or you don't, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you can train your body to overcome some things, whatnot, but I don't think that you can. I mean, I don't know. I've read some stuff on Olympic trainers, right, and athletes where they do a lot of training, and they say that there's certain steps you can take in making your mind, having that mind control, because your body's a machine, and really the breakdown's in the mental side of it, not really your physical side. I mean, well, obviously you can have physical breakdown, right, but your body is going to tell you, oh, that's the last step I can take. But realistically, your body can take many more steps. It's just between your ears. You got to say no, no.
Yep.
You're not going to beat me. Legs, let's go.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to push you. And I did some work on that this year, but then I think that got me in trouble because I was just like, no, I'm a machine.
Yeah.
I can do this. But
I
then
am all that is man. I can conquer this.
But then I forget about the fact that my heart is 47 and it is not happy with me. It can only do so much, right? Yeah. And it's just like, I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting.
I think that sometimes when people are faced with, for nationals at Powderhorn, you get to a point where you're looking straight up a black diamond, and it's all bramble. Like, you're all.
Yeah, I mean, some of that shit was taller than you. It had to be.
It was, and it was so steep at points where, being 5 foot tall, I was crawling up the mountain because it was so steep. I couldn't stand on a vert without
grabbing weeds.
So I was literally just grabbing weeds, and I had stickers in my hands and everything at the end. But when you're looking up a black diamond like that, sometimes it's very daunting to look up at that and to know that you have to do that. You have to get to the top of that. Right. And so for me, I'll break it into chunks, I'll be like, I'm just going to put my head down and work, and then I'll look up when I get to this point, and then pick another point on the mountain and get to that point.
Right.
And so I break it into manageable chunks, because sometimes mentally, we tend to want to break down when we're looking at something that's really just challenging. But you just have to, have it one step at a time. Break it off into chunks. Make it manageable. Make it so your mind is like, I got that. I can make it to that bush.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
That bush, I got that.
It's the same thing when we're hunting, right? Yeah. I mean, we're glassing, we're looking, we're like, okay, we're gonna make it to that drainage right there, and then we'll go from there. Right, and we'll reevaluate again there. It's the same thing, right?
Right.
I mean, and even in life, I mean, let's relate this to just normal life. I mean, we can talk about train to hunt, we can talk about alpha, we can talk about all these things, but but it's real life. You got to break life down that way, prioritize it that way. Anything you're doing, right? You got to take the time to one day at a time, one step at a time.
Yep.
And apply it that way. It's good general life.
It is, and I think even training for these kind of things and training for hunting, and it helps you train for life too. It I've had a lot of stuff going on this last year in my home life, and it's been really beneficial to be like, I just take today, take this first challenge, and then we'll get past that, and then we'll face the next challenge. Like, you can't look at it like, here's all of these things, holding me back. You have to take them one at a time.
Yeah, because life just gets too heavy that way.
It gets heavy, yeah. Life is hard. Life is fucking hard.
Yeah, it wasn't meant to be fair.
No.
But at the same time, it's supposed to be challenging. You're supposed to earn it and feel it and live it, breathe it, and and welcome to the ups and downs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, with all of that being...
That last part was for the millennials in the as a millennial, I can say that. It's fine.
Exactly.
I think they're a protective class now, so maybe we should strike that from the record.
Out.
I don't know.
No, we don't edit around here or stuff like that. It's a free-for-all. Just say what you got to say. So, then my questions are... So, here we are at Alpha. Yep. Last year, you won...
I won the Open Division last year. So last year, to make it into the Alpha bracket, you had to score top 2, I think, in one of the 3D courses in one of the qualifiers.
Right.
And I didn't make it into the top 2 in any qualifier. I did 2 different qualifiers last year, and I was 3rd and then 5th, I think.
And then you came back.
So I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to rock the Open Division then. And I won the Open Division last year. So this year I'm hoping to make it into the Alpha Division and see how well I can do there.
There you go.
I did finish 2nd I don't know how they're going to, I don't know how they're doing making it into the Alpha this year, but I took 2nd in the shooting portion yesterday.
Yeah.
So hopefully that it earned me a bye for today to start out. So yeah, hopefully.
You didn't have to run yesterday then?
Nope, didn't have to run at all yesterday. So today will be my first run in the semifinal match, and then
right on.
Yeah, hopefully I can pull out a win there.
So after today, you move on from here. You were talking earlier about hitting a train to hunt this year.
Yeah, I'm gonna do train to hunt Wyoming this year. Yeah.
Nice.
So my brother's buying a house outside of Casper, and so I'm gonna bunk up with him and hit the Wyoming. I've never done the Wyoming, so it'll be fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, change of pace, huh?
Yeah, why not?
Well, and then you'll do well up there. And then you'll make it to nationals, hopefully.
I hope so.
If you put it all together, right?
God
it'll come
willing,
together and it'll work. That'd be cool. What's in your future? What else? What else is going on with Shanley? Where are you going?
I'm really trying to get home this year to go on a hunt with my family. I'd love to go hunting with my sister. We haven't done that yet as adults, and I think that would be really cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah, so I would really like to see that happen. She's actually working with Prius, the women's hunting clothing line at Grand Junction.
Yeah.
I think. So I think that's really cool for her as well. And I'd really like to go on a hunt with her this year. I want to get through competition season, and then I want to focus on my archery a little bit more and I want to try just a straight archery competition.
Just do a little circuit of 3D or
a little
like
3D circuit. I think that would be fun. I really wanted to do a total archery challenge this year. I just don't think I'm going to be able to make it out to Snowbird.
I wanted to this year as well. It
looks so fun.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous of everybody that gets to go. I really wanted to. I don't think I can make it work. It's either because we've got 2 or 3 of these. We have 2 train to hunts, hopefully, if I can make it to nationals again. And it's just a lot in one summer.
It is.
Family. We were talking about that earlier, juggling family with all of this. And, your hobbies can only take up so much of your time.
And you got one child?
Yeah, I have a 3-year-old.
3-year-old?
Trip. Yep.
Trip.
Yeah. He's awesome, and he's so much fun right now. But he comes to the events and stuff, and he wants to shoot. We got him his own little bow, and it's adorable.
It is adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah, a good friend of mine, Muley Matt, I think you might know him anyway. His son, gosh, he's so funny. He was elk calling the other day, and they got it on video, and he just screams into the bugle, right?
Yeah, Trip does the same thing.
He picks up this big old trad bow, and you see him trying to pull it. Right, like he actually shot this bow. It's funny as can be, man. It's so much fun. Well, yeah. Well, good. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me.
Yeah, of course.
Shanley, I find you extremely interesting in your background and what you do, and the whole CBI thing is super cool. And
thank you.
Thanks for serving the community and doing what you're doing there. And
thank you. I appreciate it.
we need We need people out there doing that.
Yeah, if anybody in Colorado, sees me driving down the road in the big old crime scene truck, just give me a wave. I know I look ridiculous because I'm so small. Just go with it. It's fine.
That's good stuff. Well, I wish you all the best. Thank you again, and good luck in Train to Hunt Wyoming, and good luck with life and battle in it. And
thanks, you too.
Good luck today. I look forward to watching you guys run today for a little while, and then I'm going to get back to the fam, and we got a long trip back to Durango today.
Awesome.
So.
Yeah, I saw your boys did well yesterday.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I'm super stoked for them.
Yeah.
Aiden was in. Braxton was a little him and Han about coming, but in the end, it was awesome. And that's like I was telling Callie yesterday. It's like, I didn't do well, but the kids had a great day out here, and we had fun and good day in the sun and around great people, good role models. Trevin was totally mentoring those two boys yesterday. I mean, because sometimes telling your kids what to do, they don't want to listen to you, man. But when Trevin would come up and start talking to them and get them pumped up and get them going, get their heads back in it and stuff like that, and then even out here on the course cheering them on and all that, and it was being their spotter, it was awesome. And they loved it. They soaked it up and had a great time. So.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, it's awesome to see. I can't wait for Trip to be able to do it one day.
You're going to have so much fun.
Yeah.
And how old will you be when he can do the open division? You guys do a team.
Yeah, right.
Right?
I'll be in the Masters by then.
I'm hoping I'll be a super master probably before any of my kids are ready to rock and roll, but it's going to be fun. I'm thinking next year maybe trying to do a team deal with my son-in-law.
Yeah.
We thought about doing that this year. It was funny. He went down and did Tucson with me, and he's just a beast, this kid.
Yeah.
And he does Spartans, he does all these things, Tough Mudders, and he told me, he says, Brandon, that was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, that train hunt down there. He was like, I don't know. I beat him by 4 minutes. I mean, he's 25. I beat him by 4 minutes in the
That's what I try and tell people. I'm like, it's different. Like Spartan races, things like that, you can literally just black out and go. Like you can just turn your mind off and just go.
Yeah.
You can't do that when you're shooting in between.
No.
You can't. You have to run through your shot sequence. You have to control your breathing. You have to do so many things that people don't really talk about. But you can't shut your brain totally off. I mean, you can black out while you do it from muscle memory, I guess.
I was close, man. It was funny when I was making that shot, like I was saying on that second shot, I did this big old step forward like I was going to fall over, and the guy working the tent stepped back, and I looked down, I'm like, what are you doing? Don't step away. You got to catch me if I fall over. And he's all shakes his head no.
You're like,
come on,
thanks
man.
for the support, bro.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, they're getting ready to kick it off here at Alpha. We'll let you go so you can get your mind right and get in the groove. Thanks again so much, Shanley.
Thanks, man. I appreciate
right
it.
on. Listeners, thanks for tuning in to Wilderness Attitude Podcast. We appreciate it. And you ever get a chance, come up here to No Limits Archery or come register for our Alpha Bowhunting Challenge. You won't regret it. And I know my listeners know my gig. Go get outside. Go have some fun. Find a way. No excuses. Have a great day.